Hello, and welcome back to the office. I'm Dr. Wiggo, and today we're going to set up the UGREEN NAS that I unboxed last week. Well, for you. Earlier today for me, because I want to get this thing set up and started because I know that formatting these drives, because I'm going to do the low-level thing where it checks every bit on every hard drive, and there's 72 terabytes of them. So that's going to take a while. I don't know how long, maybe days. So I want to get that started. So I'm starting it on the same day I unboxed it, and then I'll come back in a few days and finish the setup. But we'll start it right now. And the first thing we have to do is get the 10 gigabit network set up. So if you remember from last week, or minutes ago, I have the TrendNet 10 gigabit switch, which I'm going to put over here behind the monitor. The light's on. And here is the airport. See, it was just a switch. Apple stopped making these years ago. Trademark and copyright 2011. Well, I may have gotten my iMac earlier and then got this later, but I got this in after 2011. Has been working as a switch all this time. The hard drive long dead. This is the new switch. Now, the blue cable was the Ethernet from the wall going to my closet. Now, to cable up all my devices, we'll start with the one going to the NAS. By the way, these are, it looks like Vabo goo to me. V-A-B-O-G-U or C-U. Category 8. That cable was way too long. I needed like 12. Closest they had was, it was like 10 or 25. So that was 25 feet. Way too long. The shorter lengths come in this packaging. But these next two just have to get from the switch over to the Mac Mini and the Mac Studio. Hook the Mac Mini to the switch, and now we will have 10 gigabit Ethernet for everybody. We have to populate the drives. You won't have to watch all this. This is, you saw me do it upstairs. I'm just going to do it 5 more times. And last one. So I've turned it on, and the lights are blinking. Hopefully that means the memory I put in was good, and so it booted up just fine. One of the problems with NAS drives is they tend to be loud. But of course, most people keep their NASs like in their router closet, which I may end up having to do if this thing ends up being as loud as it is right now. Well, it's, ooh, all the lights lit up at once. The LAN network indicator is white, which means the internet is connected. So we're supposed to go to find.ugnas.com. The lights are dancing over there. Yeah, system is rebooting. May take 3 to 5 minutes. That's why this video is going to be a week after the other one, because even though it's the same day, because this is taking a long time. And like I said, I'm going to be initializing the disk the long way. So I'll report back on how long that takes. You'll stay with me through this part. So we're back webcam only. All my batteries died in all my cameras, and I don't want to go set them up because what we're going to work with is on the screen here anyway. What happened was when it rebooted, it got assigned a new IP address, but findugnas.com would see the device and say no device is found. I went to my router and looked, and it said there it was on a different IP address. I said this was supposed to be idiot-proof. Well, clearly not. I had to know to go to my router and look through my devices, and I saw it there, and I saw the IP address was different from the one that the website thing was trying to use, and also that I downloaded the app on the phone. It wouldn't see it either. It's right there. The router sees it, and now that I typed in the direct address, everybody sees it. So already getting a thumbs down from me on the software, which we knew was the weak point. Now it's been so long, do I remember what password I picked? Hello. Welcome to UGREEN NAS. Let's start. Installed apps. The control panel does this. The App Center does that. You can change your wallpaper. I don't care about any of this. I want to get, there we go. Get started with volume creation. Welcome to Storage Manager. This is what I need. I need to create a storage pool. Create. So my 12 terabyte drives, or actually 11 terabytes, They recommend RAID 5, but I'm going with RAID 6. Now see, that's going to give me 11 fewer terabytes, but it's going to be way safer. Oh, hard disk test. Okay. Next. So again, looking for the idiot proof, it wants to know if I want the ext4 file system or the BTRFS file system. I have no idea, but the BTRFS says it supports snapshotting, copying, assigning space quotas, and advanced data integrity protection. So I'm thinking that one sounds better than just high performance and stability. There's my storage pool with one giant volume on it. Create. So this has started making some annoying noises over there. Good 6 feet away from me, and it's still relatively loud. It hasn't even finished estimating time remaining. 0% estimated time remaining, no idea. 0.1%. So this is going to take a heck of a long time. And then when this screen changes, wait, here we go. Estimated time remaining 15 hours and 14 minutes. Yeah, I knew that if I set it to do the full test that it was going to take a long time. Well, it's going to take 15 hours. So I'm going to stop recording now, and we'll start back up when this is done, which will be tomorrow.
2 days later.
That 15-hour build or sync, I think they call it, of the NAS with checking every sector and everything on it. It said it was going to take 15 hours. It took 19 hours. And then when it said it was complete, the thing continued to make noises and thunka, 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 hard drive noises. And they're relatively loud. Anyway, so it was thunka, thunka, thunka for like another 24 to 36 hours. Every time I came in the office, it was still thunking away. It finally stopped. It's silent over there now. The little lights are blinking, but it's not connected to anything. So I think it's asleep. Let's wake it up, see what happens. So connect. It was taking so long to do stuff that I was just noodling around looking at all the things in the control panel and files, etc., and storage. And I somehow got into a state where it made me create a volume. This is the overview. And you can see that the drives are all around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, even though they're just sitting there spinning, have been sitting there spinning, doing nothing. But a storage pool, which is what I created, that took 19 hours. I created a volume that basically took up the entire storage pool. But it's folders, not volumes, that are important here. And here are all the hard disks. They're all doing great. If you plug things into the Thunderbolt ports or stick in SD cards, they will show up here. And I will be doing that later, and I will probably capture it, because I have a whole lot of files that were backed up onto a hard drive, an external hard drive, which I don't want to run through the Mac and back over there, so I can just plug that in and copy straight in, and we'll see how long that takes. So that's coming. But what I need to set up are shared folders, which are the ones that multiple people will be able to... Oh, here we go. Look, down here it says, create a volume for using storage. Did that. Create the first folder and upload files. It says done. I did not upload any files. First thing I want to do is set up a folder for Time Machine so I can start backing up my Mac Studio over to the NAS. So what we do here, I want a new shared folder. And I'm going to call it Time Machine. I'm going to put it on volume 1. And I'm only going to let it get up to we'll let it get to be 10 terabytes. I don't think it'll get there in everyone. And I want to hide that in network because I only want Time Machine to be able to see it. So you create that, give myself read-write permission. So that's step 1. Now there's more things you have to set up in the control panel. Okay, I already turned this on. This was turned off by default, but you need to turn on Enable SMB service for a lot of things to work. So I've turned that on, and I called my work group NAS. The default is work group. That's from Windows from like forever ago. Ah, here we go. I already turned this on. It was not on by default. You have to enable the Bonjour service so that Time Machine can find the thing. So set the Time Machine folder. There it is. Okay, save and apply. So I've set up Bonjour service and set the Time Machine folder. Now for the true test, I'm such a Mac noob, I don't know where to find Time Machine. I guess I'll go to Finder and go to the applications. Time Machine. Set up Time Machine. So I went to add a backup disk, and look, there it is. Woohoo! It also shows my 8 terabyte Western Digital in the enclosure, which only has a terabyte available. This is part of the problem. This is why I need to move a bunch of stuff onto the NAS to free up space on here. So set up disk, mounting. You're attempting to connect to the server. Yes, I am. Oh, it's been several days. What was my password? That was it. I can encrypt the backup. We'll tell Time Machine to only back up 10 terabytes. Oh, I guess these are automatically excluded, and then I can add more. But yeah, I don't want my external, for now. I will add those later. Preparing to back up. Oh, it's showing me my things. Okay. So that sets that up. Now I need to set up another folder. Oh, files. Here we go. Now my main thing I want to have on this NAS is my older, the videos going back almost 5 years now. I still have all that stuff. And I want it back on the NAS so I can free up a whole lot of disk space. So I'm going to put this on volume 1, the Dr. Wigo channel folder, grow up to 20 terabytes. So now I have a folder where I can put all of my old videos. Let's go to storage and go to external storage. And look, it sees my Western Digital. Open a folder called Dr. Wigo channel. While that's going on, and it's going to take a while, so in fact, I'm not finishing this video today. I'll be coming back again later in the week. But now I'm going to show you the apps, because one of the things you can do with these NAS is, because again, they're computers, you can run other things on them and you can make them your own cloud. So you can use cloud storage, which is essentially what I'm doing right now, right? I'm running over Ethernet to the cloud, which is right over there, and there's no monthly fee. You can also like set up a photo server so that you can look at your photos from your phone or your iPads from anywhere in the world off of the NAS and all these other kinds of things. And let me show you some of that. Well, see right here, they have a utility called Cloud Drive. So you can install an app that will then let you create cloud drives on your NAS that you can use with your other devices. You can set up a music server, photo server, sync and backup utility, a theater server. I think it also supports Plex, BitTorrent. Don't do that. You'll get in trouble. DLNA, A-List, Docker. Now, Docker is this thing that lets you install all sorts of other apps through the Docker app. And this is where you can, I think this is one of the things you use to create a Plex server. There's a downloads app. There's a home assistant app. Firefox, you can download Firefox to run on your NAS so you can have a web browser. Jellyfin, which apparently is a popular media and entertainment type thing. Online Office, Security Manager. Virtual machine, you can create virtual machines on this thing. So you can run Windows 11, you can run Linux, you can run other operating systems. You can do all sorts of stuff on here through the virtual machine facility. But when people talk about how Synology and QNAP and the other brands are so much more well established, the list like this of apps available on Synology, we'd be scrolling for 20 minutes. I mean, there's just hundreds of them. If you're looking for this kind of stuff, UGREEN might not be the NAS for you because it has a very limited supply. Although again, with this Docker thing, you can pull in a whole lot of other stuff. And there's videos all over YouTube where people do this kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to be doing that, not for a long time. First rule of Fight Club, you only click on these things once. I keep double clicking and it opens two windows. There's my personal folder, there's my share folders. Oh, look over here. I have the elements plugged in there, but it's showing up. It's showing up through Ethernet to this machine. So you can use the NAS as, like, I guess, a dock. Well, let's turn the fans to full power and see what that sounds like. Ooh, they're loud. Okay, I'm holding my Apple Watch. So with the fans on full and everything, it's like 50 dB. I'm going to put it back on the fan curve. Okay, it's still 50 dB. So apparently most of that noise is actually the little thunk, clunk, thunka, thunka. I'm going to stop here filming. I'm going to let this stuff run. I'm going to copy some Mo folders on there, and I'll be back again in another day or two. I told you last week this wasn't going to be that good a video, and I wasn't lying.
Several days later.
So 2 days farther in, the copy of the 11 point something terabytes from the Western Digital Elements through the front panel with the Mac uninvolved, going straight from the Elements onto the NAS, that finished. It took almost a full day, 20-something hours. Although I did learn that with the UGREEN app on my phone, I could check the progress from the other room and I didn't have to come in here and look. So that's very handy. That app is really great. The bad news is, when it finished copying all the files over, it deleted them all off of the Western Digital. Because apparently, the NAS software, when you're telling it to copy, well, you're not telling it to copy, you're telling it to move. So it moved the files. Default, I was not given a choice. It just copied them all over and then deleted them. It defaulted to move. So I can see why people are bitching about the UGREEN software, because that is not the behavior you expect. That is not the behavior you want. You should have to physically say, yes, after you're done, you can delete them off the other drive. It should not default to moving them and deleting them off the old drive. Now, it may be because it was attached to the NAS, it said, well, you're just moving it around inside the NAS, but it wasn't inside the NAS. So the original plan to have the backup still on the Western Digital Elements is now gone, because I'm not copying 11 terabytes back. It would probably move it. So now I only have the one archive, which is, now I'm glad I have RAID 6. The reason it took so long was it was getting like 200 megabytes per second, like max. I never saw it go like above 250 megabytes per second during that entire process. Now, it was plugged in via USB over here, so that's only 10 gigabits per second, so that's not unreasonable speed. It's not good. And let's come over here. So let's run the Blackmagic speed test. So I'm targeting my folder where all my DaVinci Resolve files are stored, and we'll run the speed test. And as you can see, it's getting about 863 writes and about 878, 882, 883 reads. And then it'll do it again. Then we get the idea. Under a gigabyte per second. It's not great, but it's okay. But the question is, could it be much faster? Now, the theoretical speed, I think, over 10 gigabit Ethernet is like 1,250 megabytes per second. I'm getting about 2/3 of that speed. The question is, would caching with SSDs in the NAS do any better? So I figured we'd check that. You already know I have a Samsung 990 Pro, which I used for some testing in other videos. I bought another one. So now I can load these two in to the NAS and see if that improves the performance. The noise has died down a little bit, but we'll talk about that more in the final thoughts. Okay, so to do this, first I'm going to put the NAS to sleep, turn it off, shut down. So it's under U. You click on your little U icon, and there is shutdown. Shutdown. So I took this out of the enclosure I had it in. I'll take off the little thermal pad. There you go. Another S990 Pro. So now I have two. I'll need my incredibly fat thermal pads. So I seated this here, and now I'm going to screw that screw in. Then I'll seat this one there and screw that little screw in. Now we have to put these incredibly fat little thermal pads on. And then we'll put this down. And see, now they touch this back plate. The reason they were so thick is so that they could touch both the SSD and the back plate. Now we're booting back up. Okay, so now we're back in. We go to storage. Ah, look, see, M2s. Okay, another annoyance. When you're typing in your password into the NAS interface, when you get to the end of your password and hit return, you have to then again click. That just gets you out of the password box. Bad interface design. I'm starting to see why people didn't like this. You have to go to storage pool. You click over here. SSD cache management. No SSD cache. Create. We're going to cache this for volume 1. It's going to be a read-write cache. Next. I understand that, yeah, if we hadn't finished writing, bad things could happen. I'm going to put it in RAID 1. We're going to click both of those guys. I don't understand why it won't fill in. I have to type in the number that is directly below it. Apply. Format. Enter my password again. It says SSD cache now. And it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Again, we're getting nowhere close to the theoretical speeds of 1250 megabytes per second. Now, write should be a little slower, but reads, eh. So that was a waste of money. Well, it was only that I only had to buy one of the SSDs, and it was like $160 or so. So it wasn't a horrible waste of money. But what? I have a 6-bay, which means it's spreading the writes over multiple drives, at least 4 when it's actually right, and then doing stuff on the other 2. If you have a 4-bay and you're in RAID 5, then you're only using 3. So, and I think there's some formula for figuring out the write speed. And as you add drives, you get more speed. It's not, they don't double. I mean, you don't get, the second drive doesn't double the speed of writing to just 1, but it increases it. With 4, I think I may have already saturated the link. So, I mean, 900 is not bad. If you're using the 2.5 gigabit or 1 gigabit of the older kind of NASs like Synology and everything, now they do have 10 gigabit upgrades, but they come out of the box with either 1 or 2.5 gigabit, and that would be considerably slower than this. Fast for a NAS. It's not that fast. One thing I want to show you in DaVinci Resolve, which is one of the reasons that convinced me to get the NAS. So now if I need to get to a video that's in a file that's no longer on my local hard drive that I've pushed off to the NAS and then deleted off my local drives, I need a video, a capture from some old thing. Let's find one down here. So I wanted to get this guy. So I select the files here and say relink. Selected clips. I go to the NAS on Tech, OWC Hub. As you can see, I can get back, and so I can now then copy anything out of this video that I needed to put into my UGREEN video. If I need anything out of that video, it relinked. And by the way, next time I open it, it'll work. So what are my final thoughts? The hardware is in fact really nice. It's aluminum, it's solid, it's well built, it's got the 10 gigabit Ethernet, it's got pretty much everything in the hardware, it's got a decent PC with a lot of threads, and I put in 64 gig of memory. which apparently I didn't. If you go look, every time I look at memory, I'm using like under 5%, 2%. Oh well. So that was a waste of money. But I'm not running any kind of stuff. I'm not running a Plex server and all these other kind of servers and virtual machines and all the stuff you could run on there. So that memory could come in handy later on. But for now, when I'm just using it basically as a NAS, I don't need that memory. And as you saw, I don't really need the SSD cache because I'm not saturating really the thing. It's the Ethernet that's really the drawback, because I have enough spinning drives that it's writing to enough simultaneously that it can get a decent speed without the cache. So basically I've just put in another point of failure, because if the cache goes down in the process of writing, then your data gets screwed up. Oh well, they're in there now. I'm not taking them back out. But let's talk about the noise. The thing is a little noisy. I showed you it was like running 50 decibels, 53 decibels, just doing the chunka thing when it was active. And it just periodically gets active for no reason. It just fires up and starts. Nothing's going on. Maybe Time Machine's doing a backup in the background. I don't know, but it just every now and then just goes nuts. But it's not just the chunka. The fans hardly ever spin up, and when they do, they're very faint. That's not the problem. The problem is harmonics. When all those discs are spinning and doing stuff, it creates this hum. I can hear it now. It sounds like an electrical hum. And I've noticed that this speaker over here closest to it will sometimes pick up on whatever's going on over there, and there'll be a little hum coming from the speaker. That's not where it's coming from right now. It's coming from over there. So what I'm probably going to do is put that in the closet. There's a closet back over here. So I'm probably going to end up putting it in the closet, because you don't need to see it. I mean, the lights don't really mean anything. If you need to get access to the plug stuff in, yeah, but again, I can go plug drives in the closet. So that's how I'm probably going to handle that. And the software. Oh my God, they really need to work on the software. I mean, it's a great start. The fact that when I set it up and it rebooted after it has updated the firmware, well, then it got a new IP address from my DHCP server, my router, and then it couldn't find it. And I had to go through all this stuff. I had to go get out my app for my router and look up what its address was and plug it in directly. You should not have to do that. You know everybody's going to be on a DHCP server, so every time they reboot it, it's going to get another IP address. And of course, if this thing can't handle that, that's just crazy and lazy. Bad programming. When you enter the password and hit return, that doesn't click confirm, and you have to then click on the button because the return really did nothing. Lazy. There's lots of little problems with the software. I mean, it's nothing that keeps it from being usable. Oh, the moving instead of copying. The default being move when you're using the internal little storage thing to move things around. Now, I understand they were probably thinking, well, if you're in this interface on the NAS, you're probably moving things from one storage volume to another. But it was an external volume. It was not a storage volume. I wasn't moving it. I wanted to copy it. Give me the choice. Come up and say, I'm going to move this. Would you rather copy it? I'm going to click copy. But no. It deleted 11 terabytes of data that I really would have liked to have kept on that drive as an extra backup. But it just deleted it because, well, you're moving it. No, I wasn't. The software is not good. When I started this whole process, I said it's for idiots. If I was as much an idiot as I say I am, I probably could not have gotten this thing up and running. I mean, a lot of people would have gotten stuck right when it couldn't find it after the reboot, when you were installing it initially, and it says, I can't find it. So this is not a NAS for idiots. In fact, I might argue you have to be even smarter, because it does a lot of things the wrong way. Not the wrong way, in a bad way. It could do better. Although, I give them a lot of points for the app. There's iPhone app, and it also works on the iPad, and it's not one of those where you get a little phone on your iPad, it spreads out, takes over the screen. And almost everything you can do right there on the web interface from your computer, you can do on the phone or the thing. Big thumbs up for the hardware, big thumbs up for the app. thumbs down on the software. I'm not even going to give it a A because it's usable, but there's just too many bumps. There's too many speed bumps. It makes it hard to use. And that move instead of copy, that's just 11 terabytes. Bad, UGREEN, bad. Do I recommend this? Kinda. If you know what you're doing, or if you're one of these people that's going to install your own like True NAS, well, yeah, the hardware is amazing. And I think worth the money. The software needs a lot of work. It's had a year, and apparently if you watch the old videos, it's come a long way in that year. Still not there yet. So no, I would not recommend it. Unless you know what you're doing. There'll be more software updates. And down the road, I may come back and re-review this and say, well, okay, with the latest software update, I can now say that this is a great piece of thing. But right now, it's fine. It'll do. I'm not unhappy. So this is my final video about this NAS for a while because it's working fine. I got all my stuff over there. Well, not all. I have most of my stuff over there. And I will continue to play with it and do stuff. I am pretty sure going to move it to that closet. Although, it's quiet. When it's quiet, it's fine. It's like a child. When they're not crying, they're great. But when they start crying, you want to stick them in a closet. Well, this one I actually can't stick in a closet. So I may be doing that. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. I'm going to go work on whatever I'm doing next week. Maybe a hub. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.